microphone if you want it.
How is the sound? Do you think you can hear me? Sound all right without a microphone? Okay, great. Well, kia ora tātou, and thank you very much for the opportunity to come and be with you. I'd like to thank the NZEI for organising this forum tonight, for all of the political candidates for being here, and to all of you, the audience. In 25 days, we have the opportunity to make our democracy work for the population group that cannot vote. It also happens to be the population group most likely to live in poverty in New Zealand, our children. Sadly, when we look at our poverty statistics, the children most likely to be in poverty are those between birth and the age of 4. The very age group when the most important physical, mental, emotional and social development is happening for a child, and yet 25% of New Zealand children are living in poverty. That means they're missing out on the opportunities for optimal health and for education. The Tick for Kids campaign is a campaign that has been focused on this election to really make sure that there's a focus on our children as we head towards the election, to encourage all political parties to have comprehensive policy for children. The campaign involves 36 organisations, so it's UNICEF, Hutt, the NZEI and some other unions. Also the Public Health Association, the Royal New Zealand College of Public Health Medicine, and many other large organisations who are seeing on a daily basis what's happening for our nation's children. Our slogan for the campaign is that it takes a child to raise a country. And we're campaigning on that because we want to remind people that if we want to have a productive, safe and creative nation, that we must get it right for our children. So I'd like to just run a few statistics past you, but without, overburdening you with this, because it's very easy, I think, to feel overwhelmed about what's happening for children and to feel like we can't do anything. When actually all of us have got a part to play in making Aotearoa New Zealand a great place to be a child. This is about strong families who are connected to their communities, communities where people work together, support each other and share information, where public policy is child-centred, and where we as a nation value our children and have a culture that respects them and upholds their rights. We can do this, but we do have some challenges. Currently, every year, 60 babies will die before the age of 1 from poverty-related illness. New Zealanders are outraged at the fact that 7 to 10 babies die every year from child abuse. But we have 60 babies dying before the age of 1 from preventable poverty-related illness. We should be outraged about that. We can do something about that. We need good quality housing. We need parents who are educated and healthy themselves so that they can take good care of their children. And we need good primary health services available to those families and good support from Wellchild Health as well. When we also look at those kids who are in poverty, 1 in every 3 Māori children is in poverty and 1 in 3 Pasifika children. So there's a disproportionate number of Māori and Pasifika children who are affected by poverty. Linked to that, be no surprises that we've got 14 times the OECD average for rheumatic fever. That is an illness related to poverty, and for every case of rheumatic fever, we're talking about a cost to the health system of at least $50,000. So, that's a huge cost, for our nation to bear. And I think that's an important point to make, that when we're talking about child well-being, we're talking about social justice and we're talking about economics. That as an ageing society, it's not long before every one person who's retiring will only have 1 new person coming into the workforce. So we need our children and young people to be healthy and educated and able to participate, able to be productive, so that our economy can thrive, so that we can continue to support our elderly population. And so, linked to poverty as well, if you can imagine from a child's perspective, a home that's very stressed because parents are worrying about where the next meal's coming from and how they're going to pay their power bill. We know that for kids who are in high levels of deprivation, that actually they're 10 times more likely to go into hospital because they've been abused or neglected. So there's a link between those statistics I gave you at the start about the numbers of babies dying in poverty because of poverty, and also the child abuse and neglect. You know, those two issues are really linked. Now, how did we arrive in this situation with these outrageous statistics for our children? Well, we've been through really huge change in the past 30 years, really significant social and economic change. And so our predominant economic ideology changed. We did become a free market economy. Globalisation has happened. Technology has had its impact as well. But the shape of families have changed too. New Zealand has one of the highest rates of sole parenthood in the OECD. So we have to have public policy that responds to those modern realities, to the fact that we are a global market, that technology has stripped jobs out of our economy, and that we do have high rates of sole parenthood. If we remain focused on child well-being, then we would have public policy that responded to those things and made sure that children were taken care of, as is their right. We are signatories to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and under that convention, children have the right to a standard of living that supports their development. Currently, I would argue that we are in breach of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child for failing to take care of them. So as we head to the election, the Tit for Kids campaign, we're holding forums right around the country, and we're encouraging people to think about children when you go into the ballot box. We're non-partisan. It's up to you to choose who you're going to vote for. But we are encouraging people to keep children in mind, to look at the policies of the parties and to listen carefully to what candidates will say about their commitment to children